a land shrouded in mystery, where the cost of living is surprisingly low yet remains unattainable for most travelers, a place where deserted streets stretch for miles and elegantly dressed traffic controllers manage traffic with almost theatrical grace, a country deeply rooted in ancient traditions, evident in architecture, clothing, and everyday life. But behind the external facade lies one of the most controlled societies on Earth, governed by strict and unusual laws. This is North Korea. Join us to take a look behind the scenes and find out what everyday life is like inside the most mysterious and isolated nation in the world. Located on the Korean peninsula next to its prosperous neighbor, South Korea, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, or North Korea, remains one of the most closed countries in the world. Its territory is about 46,500 square miles, roughly like the state of Mississippi. It borders China, Russia, and South Korea, and has more than 150 miles of coastline along the Yellow Sea and the Sea of Japan. However, despite its proximity to the sea, most connections with the outside world are limited, and everything related to the internet, North Korean concepts such as Google, iPhone, or Starbucks are completely unknown here. The climate is harsh. In winter, the temperature drops below minus 30 degrees Celsius, and in summer it becomes hot and humid, like in Florida. Snow transforms the landscape in winter, creating beauty, but also serious difficulties for agriculture and transport. Power outages are common throughout the country, making everyday life strikingly different from the bright lights of New York or London. Of the approximately 26 million residents, most live in Pyongyang, one of the most strictly organized cities on the planet, but living here is not a choice. It is impossible to buy or rent housing, as in other countries. Only citizens selected by the state based on their loyalty, achievements, and family history are entitled to live in the capital. This makes Pyongyang one of the most carefully selected settlements in the world. All its residents are ethnic Koreans who speak Korean. However, their language has developed separately from South Korean for more than 70 years, which has led to differences in vocabulary and pronunciation, often seeming foreign to modern South Koreans. They believe that the entire Korean peninsula is one nation. If you look at a world map, you will see two countries, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, North Korea, and the Republic of Korea, South Korea. But inside North Korea, there is only one Korea, united with Pyongyang as the capital. This is what the maps in every school in the country look like. Although hopes for reunification exist on both sides, it is extremely difficult to turn this dream into reality. The world mainly sees North Korea through filtered media, but to truly understand it, you need to visit it, where time, traditions, and ideology intertwine like nowhere else on Earth. Time in North Korea flows according to its own rules. It's truly unique. If you come here, you will not see the inscription 2025th year anywhere. Instead, all calendars, street signs, and official documents use the Yuche calendar, a system that exists only in North Korea. Very soon, the country will celebrate the 114th year, not according to the Gregorian calendar, but starting from the year of birth of Kim Il-sung, the founder of the nation. For those who are used to world standards, this calendar creates a feeling that North Korea exists on a completely different timeline. Most travelers arriving in North Korea fly into Sunan International Airport and head straight to the capital, Pyongyang. From the first minutes, you will feel an atmosphere unlike any other city in the world. Pyongyang exudes a calm, orderly beauty. Its tall, tightly packed buildings create a modern look, but without the chaos of New York or Tokyo. Hundreds of residential towers from 25 to 35 floors tower over the city, but many of them are not equipped with elevators, which means that residents overcome many steps every day. If you live on the 30th floor and go down on foot every morning to take the bus, your physical fitness can improve dramatically, or conversely, your strength will quickly leave you. Personal cars are rare in Pyongyang. Most people travel by subway, double-decker buses, trams, and taxis. During peak hours, from 6:30 to 9:00 in the morning and from 5:00 to 9:00 in the evening, public transport is overcrowded, and yet despite the flow of passengers, there is no jostling or chaos. Unlike traffic jams in Los Angeles or London, the streets of Pyongyang remain calm and orderly. One detail is striking. Motorcycles are absent. While the streets of Bangkok or Hanoi are full of them, you will not see a single one here. Underground hides the deepest subway in the world. 110 meters underground. It is designed as a bomb shelter with reinforced steel doors. It takes about 3.5 minutes to ride the escalator to the platform. Deep underground, the temperature in the station remains at 18 degrees Celsius all year round, providing a comfortable shelter for passengers. Street food is rare here, but you can sometimes see neat kiosks where school children in red ties line up for frozen treats and sweets. Although the internet is limited, people still look at the screens of their phones, as everywhere else, but here they only browse state-approved sites. On the streets of North Korea, you will quickly notice women with a wide variety of modern hairstyles. They are dressed in elegant, bright outfits and wear badges with images of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il on their chests, combining this with high-heeled shoes and light makeup. Interesting fact, all citizens are required to wear such badges. However, foreign tourists should never do this. This can lead to imprisonment. North Korean women do not follow Western fashion, but exude sophistication. Skin, bright eyes, shiny black hair, and soft smiles. Whether they are walking along Kim Il-sung Avenue, through spacious squares, or deep into the subway, groups of women walk together, occasionally talking in a low voice, often covering their mouths with their hands when they laugh. Even moving around the city, they hold themselves with a straight posture and quiet confidence. They are not in a hurry, as is the case in New York or Paris. Their steps are calm and purposeful, without fuss, but with dignity. One of the most iconic sights of Pyongyang is the women traffic controllers. While in other countries, traffic police officers are selected according to their level of physical fitness. In North Korea, there are 3 requirements for them: height, vision, and beauty. These are young, tall girls, strictly dressed in blue and white uniform suits with neat caps. At major intersections, they confidently and gracefully manage the rare traffic, standing straight and proud. Despite the small number of cars, their presence remains a symbol of Pyongyang. If you look closely at the streets of North Korea, you will notice another characteristic feature: young people in military uniform. This is a common and important phenomenon throughout the country. This frequent presence is not accidental. Almost every man over the age of 18 is required to serve in the military for up to 10 years, and women, at least until the age of 23. But military service here is not just an obligation, it is deeply woven into everyday life and forms a strictly disciplined population. Unlike South Korea, where it lasts from 18 to 21 months, the North Korean terms are striking. With more than 1 million active soldiers and 6 million paramilitary members, the country has one of the largest armies in the world. Approximately 1 in 4 residents is connected to it. This also explains why there are so few cars on the streets. In a country with a population of more than 25 million, you would expect traffic jams, but there are only about 30,000 active cars here. This makes North Korea one of the least car-dependent countries on the planet. Only civil servants and military personnel can own private cars. The rest rely on subways, buses, or bicycles. However, you can see luxury models on the streets of Pyongyang, such as Mercedes-Benz or Toyota. Although there are no official dealerships of these brands in the country, Mercedes is especially popular among officials. And on the roads, you can still find old Volvo 144th models from the 70s. They were once bought, but never paid for. Curiously, the country is not completely dependent on foreign cars. Its own military production later began to produce models inspired by the designs of Volkswagen, Mercedes, and other global brands. However, due to the isolation of the economy, domestic cars remain almost unknown outside the country. As for the top leadership, they have complete automotive freedom. Depending on their rank, high-ranking officials drive the most prestigious cars, from Audi R8 and Rolls-Royce to Range Rover. It is said that Kim Jong-un has a rare collection of cars. Despite the difficulties of importing them into the country, North Korea operates under a centralized planned economy, one of the few such systems still existing in the world today. The state controls everything: production, distribution, and consumption. If an American can place an order on Amazon and receive the package the next day, then in North Korea, goods are distributed according to the state plan. For many, even a simple can of Coca-Cola is considered a luxury. However, 3 main services, housing, healthcare, and education, are provided free of charge. Utilities are also paid for by the state, so salaries mainly go to food and clothing. It is noteworthy that North Korea is one of the few countries where income tax is not levied. How does this affect the cost of living? Life here flows in a unique economic reality, very different from the Western one. The average monthly cost of living is estimated at approximately $1,597. This is approximately 32% lower than in the United States. Rent is significantly cheaper, approximately $79 and 0.9%. A furnished apartment in a normal area costs approximately 900,000 North Korean won per month. Although precise conversions into dollars are difficult due to currency exchange restrictions, monthly utility bills, heating, electricity, and gas for 2 people in an apartment of 85 square meters are approximately 120,000 won. Food costs are approximately 26 whole and 0.4% lower than in the US. Although detailed prices for specific products remain limited, public transport is the main way to get around, and its cost is much lower than Western standards. Although exact figures are difficult to confirm, other expenses such as gym memberships or dental services are difficult to estimate due to the country's closed economy and limited commercial sector. Although overall living costs are lower than in the US, a lack of finances, data, and a closed system make accurate comparisons difficult. Considering all these conditions, would you want to live here? If yes, press 1. If no, press 0. Share your answer in the comments. In Pyongyang, you will find monumental structures of global significance. Among them is the Rungnado May Day Stadium, the largest in the world. It can accommodate up to 150,000 spectators. Built in 1980, it hosts not only football matches, but also the famous mass games. A grand show with the participation of tens of thousands of people. This is one of the most impressive synchronized performances on the planet, symbolizing the unity and strength of the nation. Another outstanding object is the Rugyong Hotel, one of the most iconic and unusual skyscrapers in the world. Built in the shape of a pyramid, it rises to 105 floors and for decades was considered the tallest hotel on Earth. The project envisioned more than 7,600 rooms and a revolving restaurant on top. The Rugyong reflects the ambitious vision of North Korea. Although the building is still not fully operational, it remains one of the most recognizable landmarks in Pyongyang. Nearby on the banks of the Taedong River is Kim Il-sung Square, the largest in the country and in the world in size. Its area is 75,000 square meters. It can accommodate up to 100,000 people and serves as the main stage for parades and state ceremonies. Directly opposite the square rises the Juche Tower, a monumental emblem of North Korean ideology and one of the most recognizable symbols of the city. With the onset of night, Pyongyang acquires a mysterious, almost ghostly beauty. On the wide streets, rare streetlights create scattered spots of light and shadow. People continue to move, life goes on, but the atmosphere is unusually calm, something rare for world capitals. High-rise buildings use a minimal amount of electricity, and only a few glowing windows create a picture that is both nostalgic and quietly surreal. It is accompanied by grandiose performances filled with national pride. Among the most unique is the Day of the Sun, which is celebrated on April 15th in honor of the birthday of Kim Il-sung. This is not just a holiday, but a large-scale national celebration with military parades, bright fireworks, and some of the largest synchronized performances in the world, involving tens of thousands of people. The Arirang Mass Games in particular are listed in the Guinness Book of Records as the largest group performance, including more than 100,000 dancers, athletes, and artists. One of the most impressive sights is the live mosaics, when tens of thousands of students form giant moving images, turning the stadium into a huge animated canvas. In addition to state holidays, North Korea also celebrates cultural traditions such as Lunar New Year and the Lantern Festival. On these days, hundreds of glowing lanterns rise into the night sky, creating a rare and perfectly picturesque moment. North Korean cuisine will surely leave you with an unforgettable impression. Its features the subtle balance of spicy, salty, sour, and sweet tastes, creating truly memorable combinations. You may already be familiar with kimchi, the famous fermented dish, but in North Korea there are hundreds of its varieties, and each region adds its own twist to the recipe. A real and must-try dish for any tourist is naengmyeon, or cold Pyongyang noodles. This traditional dish dates back to the Joseon dynasty. It is served in chilled beef broth with cucumber, slices of beef, and a boiled egg. Unlike Japanese ramen or Italian pasta, naengmyeon has a light, refreshing taste and a unique elastic texture thanks to buckwheat noodles. Another item of national pride is Taedonggang beer, which is considered one of the best in East Asia. It is produced using British technology and has a rich taste comparable to elite European craft beer. It goes especially well with bulgogi, a juicy North Korean grilled meat dish. Together they create one of the most hearty and delicious dishes in the country. However, to fully enjoy a gastronomic journey, it is important to know a few rules. Tourists are prohibited from using the local currency. While in many countries it is allowed to pay in national currency, in North Korea, foreign guests are required to pay in euros, US dollars, or Chinese yuan. Preference is given to the euro. It is important to remember, it is strictly prohibited to export local currency outside the country. Don't be surprised if locals seem distant, silent, or avoid communication altogether. This is not due to unfriendliness. The fact is that interaction with foreigners in North Korea is an extremely sensitive topic. Although there is no official law prohibiting citizens from talking to tourists, most people are cautious due to strict state control. If you try to talk to or photograph someone, the person may simply walk away to avoid putting themselves at risk. Another important point, tourists cannot freely photograph everything they want. You are always accompanied by an assigned guide who has the right to prohibit photography if the object is considered sensitive. Such objects often include old bridges, unfinished buildings, or queues at stores. Everything related to military themes is strictly prohibited to photograph. When photographing statues of Kim Il-sung or Kim Jong-il, it is necessary to capture the figure in full. Cropping is prohibited. It is also forbidden to photograph them from behind. This is considered disrespectful. According to reports, there are about 34,000 statues of Kim Il-sung in North Korea, approximately one every 3.5 kilometers. So remember, your camera will not be a welcome guest everywhere here, as in other countries around the world. After all this, you may wonder whether to travel to North Korea or even retire there to unravel its secrets. But first, you need to prepare documents and apply for a visa. Entry is possible only through Russia or China. Only these two countries issue visas to North Korea. Although there are flights in several Chinese cities, the fastest route from Beijing to Russia, the only starting point remains Vladivostok, a remote city in the Far East. Those who prefer scenic travel can take the train from Beijing. Obtaining a visa requires attention, especially for tourists from the US and Europe. Entry for US citizens is extremely limited. Since 2017, the US State Department has imposed a travel ban, and US passports are invalid for travel to North Korea without special permission, which is rarely issued. It is easier for Europeans, but the process is still strictly controlled. Independent travel is prohibited. All tourists are required to join organized tours through officially approved agencies. A standard document package includes a completed application form, a photograph, and a copy of your passport. Processing times may vary, so apply at least a month and a half before departure. In addition, North Korea does not issue visas for retirement or long-term residence. Most visas are short-term, for tourism or official business, with mandatory state control. Anyone planning a trip should study the current information in advance and follow diplomatic changes that may affect entry rules. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If so, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on new exciting videos. Your support helps continue to create even more interesting content. Be sure to watch the next video that appears on the screen. I'm sure you'll like it. Don't forget to leave a comment about which country you would like us to explore next time. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.